I'm Jen Panic, educator with Wayne County Parks, and I'm here to answer a question from our Stump, a Naturalist series by Heather asking about Native American history at Crosswinds Marsh. This was a great question. I really enjoyed researching the answer for it. I found that Native Americans first appeared in the Great Lakes Basin around 10,000 years ago, but the first tribe that I found specific details for was the Kickapoo tribe, and that was in the 1600s. Here's a map showing Crosswinds Marsh is a Wayne County park that is located in Sumter Township, which is southwestern Wayne County. So the Kickapoos lived there in the 1600s, and like most Native Americans in our region, they were farmers. They hunted food, and they farmed small areas with things like corn and beans, peas, squash, pumpkins. The females usually did the farming and raising the children. The males did the hunting, making of tools and houses, things like that. And they were travelers by foot. They didn't use canoes or anything like that. Anywhere they had to go, they typically walked. And they lived in small dome-shaped houses called wickiups. We always think of Native Americans living in teepees, but there's only certain tribes that actually made teepees. So the Kickapoos lived in wickiups. And they lived here for most of the 1600s at least. By 1670, they were forced out by the Iroquois and the British. And then for the next 30 to 40 years, there really weren't any Native Americans living in southeastern Michigan. The land was used primarily for travel, so you would have different tribes moving across to different areas as they were moved by other tribes or by European settlers. But nobody really lived here until around 1712, and that's when the next tribe came in, and those were the Potawatomi. They lived here for about the next 100 years. And the Potawatomi were also farmers. They were also hunters and gatherers, but they traveled by canoe. Two of the most important trees in their society were maple trees, like this one here. They got sugar from maple trees, and then birch trees, because they used the materials from the birch tree not only for their houses, but also for canoes. They did a lot of traveling by canoe. Interesting things about Potawatomi is that they worked hard, but they also played hard. One of their favorite games was lacrosse, and they would join neighboring cultures of the Wyandot, the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and they would play lacrosse games against each other. They also traded food and other goods as well. But they did love lacrosse, and they would dance as well a lot in that culture. And they were here for, like I said, about 100 years. In 1807, they, along with the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and the Wyandot, they had all agreed or negotiated with the European settlers on the Treaty of Detroit of 1807, which basically made the land federal land. So it was no longer belonging to the Native Americans. And one last interesting piece about this is that the last Native American reservation in our area was land that is now part of the Oakwoods Metro Park, which is right down the road from Crosswinds Marsh. I don't know if Crosswinds Marsh, the area that is now Crosswinds Marsh, I'm not sure if that was also included in that reservation. But even if not, it's very close by. It's literally right down the road from Oakwoods Metro Park. So I just thought that was really fascinating. So thank you, Heather, for that question. It was really interesting to learn more about the Native Americans that lived in Crosswinds Marsh. And while I don't know exactly if they used trees for navigation that are in Crosswinds Marsh now, I would assume not, because that would have been 400 years, and I don't know of any trees that are that old. They most definitely would have used trees for navigation at some point. If it had a certain structure or pointed a certain way or had something unique about it, they would most likely use that for navigation. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.